Sports fans, welcome back to my channel. Okay, let's get into this. Let's talk about Gilbert Arenas. Says they should get rid of the white European players. And remember, he didn't say nothing about the black European players or just international players or white international players in general. He just says the white European players need to get rid of the Euro because he says these guys are slow. They don't play any defense. They only shoot the three. And this is why the game has evolved to where it is right now because of them. It's a three-point game. The defense is bad because of them. And it's just a slow game because of them. And if you watch my channel, I always have a different perspective on this entire NBA. In this era, past eras, the NBA in general, because I really do the studying in the history of different eras and stuff. I was here through the 80s. I'm not going to say I was here through the 70s and 60s. And I've been watching the game since the 80s. I don't know what this guy has been watching. He was watching the game in the 90s, Gilbert Arenas. As you can see, his shirt right here, what is that? Goofy. So he's telling you anything he says is pretty much, it means nothing. This guy is a goofy. You know, he pops up on the scene and out of nowhere, it just starts spilling this nonsense. And you know, we won't go too deep into his career, but we already know he plays no defense. He was a shot chucker. And ultimately, he got kicked off his team for pulling a gun on a teammate. So, you know, this guy has no real credibility except being an NBA player, but he tells really no truth. He flip-flops. One day he says his era is good. Next day he says his era is weak. One day he says Jordan is the GOAT. He played tougher competition. Next day he's saying LeBron is the GOAT. He plays tougher competition. So let's get into this right here. And we're going to talk about what I think and why the game is where it is today, right? So let's take, for instance, we're going to talk about this real quick, and it'll come out to my point in a minute. Let's take Michael Jordan's 84 draft, right? So you have Michael Jordan, I mean, some notable, you know, stars out of here, or big names, or players that were decent. Michael Jordan, Hakeem, Charles Barkley, John Stockton. You got Otis Thorpe. If you don't know who he is, go check him out. He played a lot of games, and he won 2 championships with Hakeem. You have Kevin Willis, Sam Perkins, Jerome Kersey, real good player, Alvin Robertson, great player, and Vern Fleming, decent player. So let's just take these top guys from the 84 draft. Okay, these are the top guys. And I'm going to explain to you in a minute what I'm talking about. And let's look at LeBron's 03 draft, right? Some of the top guys. Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, David West. Hold on for a second. Let me actually go to, let me see if it's in here. Okay, it's right here. LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, David West was in there. Kirk Heinrich, and I think Mo Williams was in here. Let me see if I can find some more notable big names in that 2003 draft. I thought it was some more bigger names. Let me see here. I thought it was some, I mean, those are big names, but I thought it was some bigger names down the line. Let me see. I think that's about it as far as like big names. I was thinking it was some bigger names. Maybe you guys can tell me, like way down in the second or third. You got Kyle Korver. It's whatever. But take that 2003 draft versus the 84 draft. Okay. And let's start right here. So the LeBron era guys, they go play in the Olympics. We never lost in the Olympics. LeBron played the whole season. Though he shot only 41% from the field, minus 144 for the season. He won the Rookie of the Year. He was the most hyped person player of all time, right? More than Michael Jordan. He was the next, biggest thing since Michael Jordan. Forget about Kobe was in the league. It don't matter. Kobe was in the league. He was supposed to be better than Kobe. He got drafted over a proven Carmelo Anthony that just won the championship out of college, that can shoot better than Bosh. You saw all those guys he got drafted over. D Wade has showed himself in college, and LeBron was playing against who? High school players. What does that prove? Look, to me, when you're in college, you're playing against the best of the high school players, right? When you're in the NBA, you're playing against the best of the college players, right? So when you're in high school, who are you actually playing against? Who are you actually playing against in the NBA? Who are you actually playing against in the NBA? I mean, not in the NBA, high school. Who are you playing against? The best of who you think is going to make it to college, right? That's who you're playing against. No offense, but you're really playing against a bunch of nobodies at this point until you get to college, and you're playing against the best of high school players, right? So LeBron never even got to play against the best of high school players. My fault. He never got to play against the best of high school players because he never went to college. So let's fast forward again. Let's go to the 03 Olympics. 04 Olympics, my fault. And LeBron era guys, they got the snot beat out of them. Melo, Wade, Bosh, who else you had on? Duncan, all these type of guys. I'm thinking Allen Iverson was on that team. I'm not excusing them, right? But if you're going to pick a high school player who can't even get in the game because he can't shoot and he's a liability to his team, you couldn't get him in the game. That's how bad he was. They had practices. They couldn't let this guy in the game. So they get the snot beat out of them by international players, right? We get the bronze medal. We can't even qualify for silver. So if the world caught up to us then, we were finished, because that's what the LeBron fans will say, that the world caught up to us, and 99.9% of the international players that they played in those games wasn't even in the NBA. Manu Ginobili, a six-man, won the gold medal. So the NBA from then on in 04 has been a fraud. And I'm going to show you. So let's move. And I'm going to talk about what I was just talking about in a minute, the 84 class, right? Let's move on to the 06 FIBA. LeBron era guys lost again to a bunch of nobodies. Got this bronze medal. Got beat by Greece in the silver medal round by nobody even know who these guys were. And LeBron was coming off of, like, if I'm not mistaken, 30 points per game in the season. Maybe 28, I forget. It was pretty up there. It was up there. Wade, MVP. Finals MVP. He won the championship. Melo, you got Chris Bosh, you got Chris Paul, all these type of guys. I think Carlos Boozer was on that team, Kirk Heinrich. The team was loaded, bro. And they got dusted, right? What's the excuse? So pretty much the world had caught up to him by time then. So it's over. The LeBron era guys are trash. Don't tell me Kobe Bryant came in and made a difference. Just one guy, right? Y'all said Kobe is trash. He's not better than LeBron and all this stuff, right? But I guess one guy did come in and make these guys more fundamentally sound and play defense, right? So let's rewind back again. Let's go to the 84 draft of players with Michael Jordan, Hakeem, Stockton, Barkley, and all those guys that I was telling you about. So imagine these guys coming in and having to play in the 84 Olympics against these international plumbers who 99.9% of them was not on an NBA roster, right? Not because they didn't want to be. They couldn't make it. We had international players over here in 2003, 2006, 2004, they just couldn't make the roster, or they would be on the roster. So imagine that 84 class of guys with Michael Jordan, Hakeem, Stockton, Barkley, and the rest of those guys losing in the '04 Olympics. You're trying to tell, we're not even talking about the dream team, homie. We're just talking about those class of guys. You really think those class of guys are going to lose to international plumbers? Manu Ginobili in Argentina? Bro, run down that starting five in Argentina. You're going to be laughing. A six-man won the gold medal with a bunch of nobodies. And then we go to the FIBA, it gets even worse, right? So you think Jordan and his crew in '84 class is going to lose to those guys? Stop. It shows you how weak this era is, the LeBron era. So let's go ahead and move on because we already know that's a joke. So in '05, right? This is why there's no defense. It gradually just faded out to no defense because of this. '05, offseason, guess what? They get rid of the defensive rules. You can't hand check no more. You can't put elbows in the post. And they say they wanted to make the game a faster paced game. The next season, LeBron makes the playoffs magically. He just makes the playoffs the first time in his career in '06 magically, right? Everybody scoring more points. I won't say it's the defensive era that it is now, but clearly the defensive rules got changed, okay? I think it was still more fundamentals in the game because you had, 90s players. And, I think they definitely wasn't playing the game that they're playing today. But the scoring was up because they outlawed defense, okay? Let me tell you what. Once the NBA seen, whatever you want to call it, that the LeBron era guys were trash under defensive rules of the 90s and prior decades, they had to get rid of defense to make these guys look better, right? Take the hurdle away that's in front of them, which is defense, and make them look better because they couldn't do it like Michael Jordan, Hakeem, Kareem, Bird, Magic, Isaiah. All these guys in the past, they couldn't play basketball in the NBA with that same hurdle and score 30, 25, 24. They couldn't do it. It was too tough for them. So what they did was, I don't know if they didn't have enough energy. I don't know if they didn't have the fundamentals, enough skills. I don't know what they had that they couldn't do what past players did with the hurdle in front of them, which is defense. But the league said, we got to take that hurdle away. And I think that was for LeBron, right? Because he can't shoot. So we got to find a way to get this guy to the basket. When you see his rookie year, 41%, this guy wasn't a shooter. He shot like 70% of his shots in the paint. They saw what happened in '05. He melted down after the All-Star break, lost 19 of 31 games, didn't make the playoffs. So they were like, what are we going to do? This guy can't shoot, and he's our king. He's the chosen one, and all this stuff. What are we going to do? This guy can't shoot like Kobe. God, we got to find out something. What are we going to do? We got to get him to the basket because obviously the guy just can't shoot. And like what I was telling you earlier, it really comes to fruition later that this guy was playing in high school and he was playing nobody, right? Wade, Bosh, Melo, these type of guys that were in college, they were playing the best of high school players, like McDonald's, All-Americans. LeBron was playing nobody. He was dunking, it looked like Magic Johnson on a break against nobodies. Playing in a prep school against non-athletic plumbers in his school when he's playing other high school teams. Bro, let's move on. It's a joke. So this same defense that was no defense eventually went down the line, and LeBron still wasn't fundamentally sound, right? To come through in the big moments like 09, 2010, LeBron biggest meltdowns and choke jobs. Go watch my video. He choke jobbed and melted down all the way from his rookie season all the way to 2011 in a row. Go watch that video. You're going to be surprised what the media hasn't told you about his real career. So that's what he did in the biggest moments. So when we get to about the Curry era, right? That's when the defense really started to get bad because everybody wanted to start copying Curry. So it was more like I wouldn't say what Curry and Clay was doing back then. It's not like it is today because Clay and Curry was the only guys shooting on the perimeter, right? And you didn't have your power forward, your guard. I mean, your power forward and your what do you call it? I forget your other forward, small forward. You didn't have him at the 3-point line. So you didn't have four guys at the 3-point line like today and your center just sitting inside. You didn't have that, right? When Curry started that 3-point revolution. And really nobody else was doing it. Yes, people start shooting more threes. Yes. But all teams wasn't sitting at the 3-point line like that. Four guys? It wasn't like that until about 2020, right? And this is when it started to get out of control. And I want to ask you this question right here. Like Gilbert Arenas said, you learn defense in college, and these European players aren't going to American college, right? So why aren't these American-born players able to stop these slow-footed, non-athletic white Europeans like Luka and Joker when they're coming down the lane? How come they can't stop them? How come they can't stop them if American players are more athletic? And let me tell you something else. When you watch the college game today, it's full of international players, just like the NBA. The NBA caught that international thing, and now guess what? College is full of international players like I've never seen before. So Gilbert Arenas is being real dishonest. Gilbert Arenas, I think he's Italian. His last name is Arenas. This is Italian, so he has European family. So I don't know why he's really against European players. You know, he didn't pinpoint, international players who have taken over the game. And this is what it is. The American players, they could not carry this game. So the international players had to take over this game. What can you say? They couldn't carry the game. And you can see that a long time for ratings, right? Even when we think about, the LeBron era guys getting beat in the Olympics, for LeBron era guys, the ratings has not been good in the NBA finals. And they kept dropping since, I would say, the only time the ratings were good in the NBA finals when Golden State was there, right? When Golden State was in there. And I think LeBron lost a lot of respect when he went to Miami, lost and told the fans to go back to their boring lives and pretty much, talking about, their financial situation. LeBron's financial situation was better than the fans. And he's going to go back to his rich life and the fans are going to go back to their poor life, right? So that's pretty much what he was saying after he got obliterated in the 11 finals by a European international player, right? And got shut down by J.J. Barrera, international player, right? So it is what it is. Without these super teams, LeBron cannot win an NBA championship. He had Howard in 2020. That's a super team. If you say that Dennis Rodman made the Bulls a super team, guess what? Dennis Rodman was never a number one franchise player for Detroit, right? What was it? 2009? Dwight Howard took a team to the NBA Finals after smoking LeBron, who was an MVP, had the number one seed. When did Dennis Rodman ever lead a team at, 22, 23 to the NBA Finals after smoking a number one overall seed in the NBA and had a player on there that was MVP? When did that ever happen? And he was supposed to be the chosen one. When did Dennis Rodman do that? So LeBron, super teams, super duper teams, all of his career, right? So this is why the NBA is what it is today. It's not because of European players, white European players, or international players. It's because of LeBron era guys made it this way. Once they smoked LeBron era guys in the international games, they saw that we can play in this NBA. His NBA is weak, right? His NBA is weak. They don't play any defense. They don't have fundamentals. And you watch the teams that beat LeBron in the finals, right? Like the Heat, the Mavs, the Spurs, not the Heat, but the Warriors, the Mavs, and the Spurs. These are all teams with fundamentals, X's and O's. They're not going to beat you on athleticism. Yes, some of them are athletic, but for the most part, it's about X's and O's and fundamentals. And that's something LeBron teams don't really have. So because they play on athleticism. So you guys tell me what you think, because, Gilbert Arenas, he says a lot of stuff just to get attention, but doesn't even believe what he says. And you guys are letting this guy make all this money off of just saying dumb stuff and lies and flip-flopping. So you tell me what you think.